Today's episode of Beyond the Mask is presented by the insurance specialists at Bright Think Wealth Strategies. Find the disability insurance coverage that fits you best right now. Email Robert Smith at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. The show is also made possible by the team at CRNA Financial Planning. Get a free consultation today to be guided through the complexities of investing and financial planning. Just visit crnafinancialplanning.com. And don't forget, listening to our podcast can earn you Class B credits. For more information on how you can submit them, check out the CE Credit tab on our website, beyondthemaskpodcast.com. Welcome to Beyond the Mask, innovation and opportunities for CRNAs and advanced practice nurses, with certified financial planner Jeremy Stanley and CRNA Sharon Pierce. Jeremy Stanley has worked with CRNAs for more than 23 years, and Sharon Pierce is a former president of the AANA and the NCANA. Join us as we leave the operating room and learn the latest in the CRNA and advanced practice nurse industries. Beyond the Mask starts in 10, 9, 8, 7. It's another special edition of Beyond the Mask, where we let you hear directly from the candidates running for various offices in the AANA fiscal year 2024 election. This year's speeches were recorded in front of a live audience, and they're being presented to you on today's podcast in random order. First, you'll hear from 7 candidates for the Board of Directors, then 2 candidates for Treasurer, and lastly, a candidate each for Vice President and President-elect. Voting for these fiscal year 2024 candidates is now open. You can access a link to the AANA Election Center in this episode's show notes for more information. Let's begin with the candidates for Director. Candidate for Director from Arizona, Michael MacKinnon.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mike MacKinnon. I'm a nurse anesthesiologist from Arizona. When I was at the PAC party last night, as Hulk Hogan, I got to look out over all the amazing people there from different backgrounds, from different states, with different priorities, who vote differently. But we all came together as Team CRNA. And society is pretty divisive right now. I think we all can agree. And what we need is more of that, more bringing people together in the association. Our advocacy goals up here, all these people are amazing. They're going to be amazing. We all have the same goals. But what we need to do is come together as an association, as a group, right? Be Team CRNA. So for me, I don't care who you love. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican. What I care about is bringing us together to fight for the things that matter for our profession. When I walk into a legislator's office, I'm not there to push my own personal politics. I'm there to fight for CRNAs when I'm on the board. And that is a key thing about working in a leadership role. There's no one person on the board. The board in the AANA is 11 people, right? You're just a voice. But the key is to work as a team, as one voice, and make the change that we all really want to make happen. CRNAs working to the top of their professions, CRNAs not having to worry about if their job's going to be taken away by another provider. All these things are things that we care about. And so the bottom line is, for me, is bringing the association together as a group, be Team CRNA all together, fighting upstream together. And that's, for me, what's most important, because I think we can all agree that as one unit we make things change, but if we separate and divide, we certainly fail. Thanks, everybody.
Candidate for Director from Pennsylvania, Jodie Szlachta.
Yes, my name is Jodie Szlachta. It's a tricky one. I'm a CRNA from Pennsylvania, and I'm super excited and thankful to Pennsylvania for nominating me to be an AANA Board of Director region member. I think I bring a unique perspective to this role. I'm experienced, I'm a proven leader, and I'm very passionate about advocacy. I've been a nurse anesthetist for 25 years, and I am the proud program director of the Villanova University Crozier Nurse Anesthesia Program right outside Philadelphia. There should be cheering. As the Pennsylvania president of the association, I was the first CRNA appointed by Governor Wolf at my request to be on his health policy board for a 3-year term, which was a really, really great experience. I testified to the House Professional Licensure Committee to oppose supervision for CRNAs in Pennsylvania, which was tricky. But I think one of my biggest accomplishments was writing the position description for a GRC chair as a permanent and compensated position. I noticed when I was president-elect that every year we got reintroduced to the leaders in the legislature, and so we lost traction in that process. And so I thought we really needed something more consistent in the name and the face and the messaging in Harrisburg. And so we hired Jessica Poole into that role, who's phenomenal, and it really was key and contributory to our garnering title recognition last year, which was a big win. I'm a passionate advocate for nurse anesthesiologists, and I echo Dr. Munn's message today. I think most of my key points in the platform is that we need to engage all 59,000 CRNAs and our nurse anesthesia residents to both move the profession forward and financially support our organization. I really appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Candidate for director from Minnesota, Andrea Roberts.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrea Roberts. I go by Andy, as most of you know. I have 20 years of experience as a CRNA. I graduated from the U.S. Army Graduate Program in Anesthesia Nursing, USAGPAN. I was on active duty for 11 years. I'm the immediate past president of the Minnesota Association of Nurse Anesthetists and their current secretary. Clinically, I practice autonomously in rural Minnesota. However, I have also practiced in directed and collaborative models. I am the program director at Mount Marty University for our nurse anesthesiology program. Our program has over 50 clinical sites. As a program director, I'm well aware of all of their practice types and their culture so our students can be successful. My experience and credibility has placed me in leadership positions within hospital settings and the university setting. When elected, I will fight tirelessly for full practice authority within the Veterans Healthcare Administration for our CRNAs. I will also fight tirelessly for access to care in our rural and underserved populations. And lastly, but not least, I will fight tirelessly for increased wellness resources for our student nurse anesthetists. Our future. I am your director at large. Thank you to Minnesota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska for putting their trust in me and nominating me to run. On May 16th, vote for Andy for director at large. Thank you.
A candidate for director from Virginia, Howie Goodwin.
Hey, my name is Howie Goodwin. Thanks so much for the opportunity. I'm running for AANA Director this year. If you haven't had a chance, please follow my Facebook page, Howie Goodwin for AANA Director 2023. You'll see a lot of information on there about who I am and what I've done and where I plan to go in the future. So just a few concepts about who I am and my goals and how that ties into what our goal is overall as an organization and for us as directors. So personally, I want to provide innovative leadership driven by creativity, honesty, and accountability, focusing on the core values of the AANA, which include integrity, being member-centered, diverse, include advocacy, ongoing advocacy, and growth through excellence. So through my time with the AANA, I've served on the bylaws committee. I served 1 year term there where we went through multiple bylaws changes, reviewed those and submitted those to the membership for approval. During that time, I worked on a governance task force, which looked at bylaws and the electoral process. Later, I ran for LIC. I was probably in the last decade or so, the only person that served as chair for 2 consecutive years. Well, it gives you an interesting insight there. We made multiple bylaw changes and multiple standing rule changes for the electoral process to build integrity and accountability into that process. So it was the first time that was ever done. Also, I worked on the governance task force to fix the electoral process and tweak it, and built a system so that future LICs would be able to tweak and grow that process to improve it along the way. And then as my experience with VANA, I was basically served in every position there and co-chair of GRC. So I look forward to serving you as AANA Director. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today.
Candidate for Director from Ohio, Susan Newell.
Hi, I'm Susie Newell. I'm running for AANA Board of Directors with all of these fine people. And I can bust down my advocacy history into 4 areas. I serve, that's what I do. The first area is state advocacy. I worked with an incredible group of CRNAs on a 4-year campaign to pass legislation, which we did. We also increased our PAC donors by 500%. You can read about that in the AANA Journal. As OSANA State President this year, I've created active teams that have increased our social media presence by 200%, our recurring PAC donors by $40,000 a year, and increased our federal presence by creating a committee instead of one individual to serve as FPD. 2, obstetric anesthesia. I'm the co-creator of SONAR. It's an obstetric nurse anesthesiology group. You can check that out at sonar-ob.org. I serve as chief of OB at Moses Taylor Hospital in PA, where we flipped the script from an all MDA group to an all CRNA group. Number 3, wellness. My doctoral project on coping mechanisms was published in Nursing for Women's Health in June of 2022, and that led me to write a book, The Path 365, 365 days a year, 365 coping mechanisms. If you go to the website, The Path 365, you can find out more than you need to know about me. For education, I serve as adjunct at the University of Cincinnati. I'm doing research on my book through a HRSA grant. And I also serve on the DEI committee because diversity is fundamental to the health and wellness of every organization. That's me in 2 minutes. I'm asking for your vote, and thank you for your time.
Candidate for Director from Illinois, Daniel King.
Hello. Good afternoon. I am Daniel King, and it's with immense gratitude and honor that I stand before you today having accepted the nomination to run for AANA Director at Large. Throughout my career, I've remained steadfast in my commitment to upholding the values and the mission of our esteemed association, and I look forward to continuing to do so in this new capacity if given the opportunity. As a candidate, my goals are to inspire and promote professional advocacy and development. As a leader, I am known to be authentic, transparent, and pragmatic. Through my leadership roles at the state level, we've been successful in fighting battles involving AAs, title protection, and prescriptive authority. Through my clinical practice, I've worked in both leadership and clinician roles to improve anesthesia practice models, as well as guidelines that positively impact our profession and ultimately the lives of our patients. I also understand our academic priorities in nurse anesthesiology education, and in my current work as an assistant professor, I'm highly devoted to the preparation of outstanding full-service CRNAs while leading innovative changes in our educational settings. I say all these things to you to demonstrate that my passions lie in all areas of nurse anesthesiology, in leadership, in research, in education, and clinical practice. I possess the knowledge, the skill, and will, but truly the presence to make substantial contributions. Looking ahead to the upcoming year, we must continue forging success on some critical priorities. As a director, I will work tirelessly to ensure CRNAs are being reimbursed fairly and to permanently remove barriers that hinder our ability to work at our highest level, while promoting inclusivity and continuing to increase the visibility of our association. I will be engaged with you, and we will work together to achieve these things. And a vote for me will help foster agility and responsiveness that's necessary to accomplish those things within a member-driven association. Thank you.
Candidate for Director from North Carolina, Stacy Yancey.
I envision a future where every CRNA has the ability to practice to the full extent of their education and training, where all patients have access to affordable, high-quality health care, and reimbursement is based on the degree of care provided and not the degree of the provider. To make this vision a reality, The AANA needs leaders who are committed to working on the multi-year strategic goals of the association. During my 6 years as a board member and president of NCANA, I worked tirelessly on full practice authority legislation for all APRNs in North Carolina. Our association went from barely defeating CRNA supervision legislation in 2005 and 2013 to having the support of the North Carolina Senate and Governor for full practice authority in 2022. To make this vision a reality, AANA needs thousands of CRNAs to work together with common goals. During my presidency, I made it a priority to meet with CRNAs from all over the state in order to engage with and motivate them in a way that mass emails never could. Members sent thousands of letters and made hundreds of phone calls in support of our legislation last year. To make this vision a reality, we need strong allies. AANA is partnering with other APRNs and outside organizations to champion our cause. I know how to keep this momentum going. During my time with NCANA, we forged alliances with major players in our state capital to help advance our legislation. I know how to form alliances, motivate members, and make progress on big legislation. Don't let my soft voice fool you. Like the NCSA found out last year, I can be formidable. Or to quote the GRC panel from yesterday, sophisticated and devious. Please vote Stacy Yancey for Region Director. Thank you.
Those were the candidates for director. And now we'll hear from the first two candidates for treasurer. Candidate for treasurer from Florida, Eric Rauch.
Good afternoon, CRNA Nation. Sorry for the raspy voice, you know why. But, oh yeah, right? My name's Eric Rauch. I've been a CRNA for 16 years, and I think I've pretty much almost played every role a CRNA can do, right? I've been a full-time clinician. I was a program director at one time. I got my NSPMC. Now I'm playing in this national clinician business role. And from a state and national advocacy level, I've done both. So I feel like I represent all CRNAs very, very well. I understand where they're all coming from and their unique needs. Now this position, of course, that I'm running for is treasurer, and that's about the money. So let's talk about the green, right? Well, here's the reality. The last 2 years being on this board has been really eye-opening because, once again, as somebody who has some business education and background, we've got to really dig in deep and look at how dependent this organization really is on dues revenue. And the reality is it's dangerously too dependent. Now, that being said, I'm in support of the increase in membership dues, the amendment that's going through this year, because obviously that's one way to increase revenue. But other organizations are really doing a much better job of picking up what we would consider non-traditional revenue in other areas. So that's not to say that the AANA isn't trying to do the right thing. We just haven't really invested the resources properly to make us where we can be a top competitor. That's just one example of how we can really, increase revenue on another side. Another example, and I applaud our current board because honestly, in the last 2 years, we are starting now to make some momentum on a lot of these changes, including the CE piece. But a lot of talk today about the expanding the tent of members, right? About bringing in our critical care nurses. Oh, I'm down to 30 seconds. Well, anyways, the board knows how passionate I am about AACN. More than just even a booth at their national meeting, I think we should be going down the wedding aisle with those folks. They have 130,000 members, twice the size of the AANA, all critical care, natural pipeline. They're sitting on $100 million, that organization. Imagine the kind of partnership we can have and what kind of lucrative ideas we could do together if we partnered. This is the kind of stuff we just haven't even scratched the surface on. And in closing, give me 10 seconds to close. I'll just say this. Can I close? Hurry. Okay. In summary, as your next AANA treasurer, I would work diligently on developing, obviously, new ways to diversify revenue streams for the AANA. This alone, I'm telling you, would be the single most important thing we could do to strengthen the association in unimaginable ways long term. Without enough diversified revenue generation, or with enough diversified revenue generation, we could help our state associations even more so and be CRNA focused and CRNA inspired. Aaron is going to hook me, so folks, now is the time. I can get the job done. Please vote for me for AANA treasurer. Thank you so much.
Candidate for treasurer from Arizona, Kristie Hoch.
So I am Dr. Kristie Hoch. I'm from Tucson, Arizona, and I'm a candidate for AANA treasurer. And if my voice sounds a little raspy, like Eric says, you all know why, but we had a record-breaking PAC event last night, and how often are you going to get to be able to sing with Joan Jett and have hair that needs its own zip code? It's exciting to me to know that over 50% of the people attending mid-year this year are our nurse anesthesiology residents. Our future is indeed strong. As a program administrator, it's exciting, and I can't wait to see what they are going to do as part of our CRNA nation. My qualifications for this position include the fact that I have a proven leadership record. I have a network of trusted CRNAs across the country for which if I have a question, I can reach out to them and ask them. I have the ability to work with anyone. Wouldn't you say that's true, Mike MacKinnon?
That's the truth.
We worked together with the Arizona board to defeat our AA bill, and even if we didn't agree on how things needed to be done, we worked through it and we defeated that bill. I've also been a treasurer. I was a treasurer for the 6 states of the New England Assembly of Nurse Anesthesiology, and the thing that I learned from that role is that it's communication and closing that loop of communication and educating members on why you are doing things. And now I'm going to show you my authentic, own it self. In my position statement that I wrote months ago, I indicated that I did not want to see a dues increase. And that was based on the defeat of that bill from annual Congress last year and speaking with members across the country as I spoke at their meetings. They were struggling after COVID. They dipped into their reserves. Things are getting better. And what I'm going to say now is that based on talking with leaders and the task force, it is imperative that we increase a reasonable dues increase to continue the valuable work of the AANA and our advocacy efforts. Our advocacy efforts are going to be those things that make the difference for our CRNA nation. So I'm asking you to vote for experience. I'm asking you to vote OG. I'm asking you to vote Kristie. Hoch for AANA Treasurer. Thank you.
Those are the candidates for treasurer. And now time for the vice presidential candidate. From Ohio, Jeffrey Molter.
My name is Jeff Molter from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm running for vice president. I'm very passionate about being a CRNA. For anyone that knows me, I think I put my heart and soul into this profession. I could say that my first mid-year assembly was 10 years ago. And when I was coming here, I didn't know what to expect, and I was shocked. I was inspired by so many people. I was inspired by my congressman, who I met for the first time at that meeting. I was inspired by other CRNAs, but the thing that was most shocking, I was inspired by students or residents. At that time, I was on the Ohio State Association Nurse Anesthetists Board of Directors, but I thought I was going to be like a one-and-done director, right? And hanging out with the residents, they're like, you know, you need to go on, man. Like, you're doing good things. Like, you should run for the state president role. So I did, and that led to a lot of other things. This is an amazing profession to be a part of. I feel very fortunate, and I feel honored and privileged that you would consider putting me on this board. I've been on the board for the last 3 years, and I've learned a lot. And it's kind of like the stock market, you know, it kind of goes up and then down and then up and down. But over the last 3 years, I feel like there's a lot of great momentum and we're moving in this direction. There have been a lot of great changes that you as members, us as a board, and our staff have done, things that back then we didn't know what the consequences would be, right? So open region directors, you know, when that idea came out, people were very hesitant, but I think we're bearing the fruit of those decisions years ago. Also, a bylaw to have the CEO be a non-CRNA. That was a very contentious thing, but Bill Bruce is doing a fantastic job, and I think it's fantastic that we have a non-CRNA in that role. I mean, it's just an honor and privilege to be a part of this profession. After the last session we had in here, a very experienced CRNA came up to me and he said, "Yeah, you gotta walk the walk." And I feel like I walk the walk. I give to the PAC. I have this Friends for Life. I donated money to the foundation during COVID. I feel like I go to programs, I talk to students. Anyone that calls me that wants advice on business or blocks, if they're an AANA member, I'll give them that advice. If they're not a member, I say, be a member, call me back. Sometimes if they're a member, I'll say, donate to the PAC, and I'll help you even more. So it's amazing what those things can do sometimes. Again, my name is Jeff Molter, and I appreciate your vote for Vice President. Thank you.
That's the candidate for Vice President, and now the candidate for President-elect. From Virginia, Janet Setnor.
Good afternoon. I'm Jan Setnor, and I am a candidate for the office of AANA President-elect. So last year when I was candidate for Vice President, I went to Staples and I spent $50 on this really jazzy poster. And since our Meet the Candidates was at dawn, the morning after a PAC event, which was like last night, amazing. I'd like to thank the 6 people that showed up, all students. Thank you so much for coming to look at the poster. But the good news was I did win an Emmy for my portrayal of the Queen, so, practice for that. But my poster basically said together what we could achieve in the year going forward. We were going to get full practice authority, not just in the VHA, but nationwide. We were looking for improved recertification, and we were looking for equitable reimbursement practices. And so almost every day we're working towards full practice authority, and we make little steps moving forward, but the fact is we are moving forward one step at a time. We're not going backwards. As far as improved recertification, we heard you, and being a person that griped, and Angie Munn heard me, and so she didn't make me the chair of the committee, but I am on the NBCRNA, which NBCRNA is not a 4-letter word. We do have a great relationship with them now, and we are working very hard towards a more diligent process that's going to be beneficial and convenient for the members. And so stay tuned for that, because the LA program that they're working on, we do hear what you're asking, and we are working on making improvements for you. As far as equitable reimbursement, SIGMA is a 4-letter word. And Chris Hewlin is leading a task force right now that continues to move us forward in that arena. Like they said today, we can't sue them because we don't have the grounds to sue them, but we are working on it. And again, SIGMA is a 4-letter word, like most insurance companies, so we're working towards that parity. So in short, we've made substantial progress in all these areas, but progress comes at a cost. It comes at the cost of your effort, your advocacy, and all of our eternal vigilance. It's a legacy that we're all proud of, and we understand it, and we fight for it. And it's not just for ourselves, it's for our profession, it's for our patients, it's for our families. But what about the future? We can't afford to stay so fixated on today's concern that we neglect to look down the line at the challenges that are coming at us full force. My husband, who was very tight-lipped, sitting in the back of the room, he's also my campaign manager, he was in the Pentagon working on some very dark black issues, meaning top secret. And so he was always telling me, it's one of those things, if I tell you, I'll have to kill you. And so if you think you know how far technology has come, he will tell you that you're probably 5 to 10 years behind what you think it is. If you talk to Gary Bridges right now, you know that AI right now is a program that's coming out there. Our students are using it to write papers. They're using it to enhance their education. There's a revolution coming. In the medical AI world, the systems are coming out there with collaborative efforts in both diagnostic and actual surgeries. Virtual and augmented reality devices are going to be a part of our practice every day. We need to get ahead of it. We need to be the ones that are in front of it, and we need to direct our future with our leadership and advocacy. Otherwise, we run the risk of being dragged into it by those who do not have our best interests at heart. I'm Jan Setnor, and I would appreciate your vote for AANA President-elect.
That's the candidate for President-elect. Don't forget that voting for all positions is now open, and you can find a link to the AANA Election Center in this episode's show notes. Thanks for listening to this special edition of Beyond the Mask, and good luck to all the candidates. Have you thought about what would happen if you weren't able to work for 2 or 3 years? On average, 25% of people will file a disability claim, and most of us aren't prepared for that loss of income. Every CRNA needs to protect their biggest asset, yourself, and your ability to earn with a disability insurance policy. We recommend contacting Robert Smith. a master disability insurance specialist with more than 30 years of experience and 1,800 CRNA clients to find the coverage that fits you best. The best way to do that is to send him an email at rsmithjr@financialguide.com. That's rsmithjr@financialguide.com. Or call him at 504-394-6557. Beyond the Mask is made possible by the team at CRNA Financial Planning. With almost 2 decades of experience, the firm guides CRNAs through the complexities of investing and financial planning. Schedule a free consultation today by calling 855-304-3748 or go online to crnafinancialplanning.com.
Hi, this is Jackie Rolls, President of the International Federation of Nurse Anesthetists and President and founder of Our Hearts, Your Hands, a global anesthesia support community that takes donations to allow nurse anesthetists in low and middle income countries to go to educational programs, buy equipment, or textbooks. Your donations are tax deductible, and we would appreciate your support.
Be sure to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and anywhere you like to listen to shows. Also be sure to check out BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. Each episode is posted there with a corresponding blog post, and we timestamp important parts of the episode to help you quickly get to the content you're looking for. Also check out the special series section on the site. You can follow along and catch up on the CRNA History Series, episodes specifically about political conversations in the industry, or try the CRNA Personal Finance Series. It's all on BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. And if you have a question for the show or want to be a guest, or even suggest a particular topic, fill out the contact form on the site or send an email directly to us at info@BeyondTheMaskPodcast.com. And lastly, let's take the conversation social. Check out our Beyond the Mask podcast Facebook page and Facebook group.